You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for joining us. If you could just introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself as well.
Excellent. Hi, my name's Barry Fentiman Hall. I'm a writer who's based in Chatham, although as you may be able to tell from the accent, I am from elsewhere up north. I've been writing about 30 years, but seriously for about the last 10, really since I've been in Chatham about 7 years ago. I've had a few things out over the years. I run a regular night called Roundabout Nights in Chatham, which I run with my wife with a company called Wordsmithery. And I find myself often being asked to go to various places and write about them, which is a little bit why I've become interested in Sheerness.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. How have you become to sort of write particularly about Sheerness and Sheppey?
Well, I do get a lot of odd offers one way or another, and I was working nights at the Royal Mail in Stroud a couple of years ago. And I got a strange email from someone I didn't know saying, "Hey, would you like to go to the Isle of Sheppey and write about it?" And I thought this was a little bit strange, but it turns out some wonderful people at Ideas Test who were based in Sittingbourne had done this. They were doing this scheme called Wandering Words, which was to promote literacy in various places across Kent. And they were taking people out of their known environment, because I know Chatham very well, and they were sort of putting them somewhere else. And they said, "Hey, would you like to go and write about Sheerness? And it's all going to go on a website, and you're going to go and perform it and all the rest of it." And I thought, this sounds interesting. So indeed, that was what I went off and did.
So what did you sort of think about the place when you see it, and what did you find?
Well, I mean, it sort of chimed a lot with me, because the place that I moved down here from before I came south was Middlesbrough, which is another port town on the banks of a river right where it meets the sea. It's had better times, and some bad things have befallen it in recent years. But, you know, people are resilient and they carry on. And, you know, in the end, you tend to find that things sort of continue wherever you go. When I went and I hung out there, which is what I always do, basically, first of all, always go to the local church and always go to the local Wetherspoons, I find, is always a good way to start. And you meet the same people you meet anywhere else, but it always has its particular spin. You know, it's island life when it's all there. And I really enjoyed it. And actually, I wrote so much out of it. There was so much material and so many things you could talk about. I ended up getting a book length project out of it, which is how the Unbearable Sheerness of Being came to be written and put out by Wordsmithery last year. That's why I'm talking to you now.
Well, tell our listeners a bit more about the book and hopefully the show itself as well.
Yeah, well, what it is, there was a collection of poems, a little bit about what my overall impression of the place was really when I first went to it, really before I'd ever got there, and one or two things from things that cropped up. You know, I ended up sort of semi-crashing an 18th birthday party in Wetherspoons, which was a lot of fun. And somebody stood on my foot in spike heels, and they were terribly, terribly sorry about it. But it hurt them more than it did me because I was wearing steel toe caps. You know, things like that are meat and drink to somebody who writes the sort of thing that I do. And it was suggested to me that we had the wherewithal here, because there's a big story at the end of it as well about, well, I don't want to give away too much, but it has something to do with a massive sea creature and that ship that might explode out in the Thames. And that's all I can tell you about that. But it had been suggested to me that I might want to come and do this in the place where it was about. The good people at Sheppey Little Theatre. They knew my wife, and she said to me, "Oh, they've said, would you like to come and do this there?" I thought, "Yeah, actually, I would. That'd be great." Which is how I come to be there on November the 3rd. Starts at 7:30, goes at 7. Only £5 from Sheppey Glass. Just thought I'd point that out.
And I suppose it's something that's nice for you because, you know, you can sort of pick up the book or find about the book, but actually to go along to a talk and hear you talk about it and what inspired you and how it grew sort of, I suppose, really builds that picture up.
It does. I mean, some of the poems are quite short. I mean, some of them are less than a minute, some of them are not. And, I often find, because I do a lot of performances, is sometimes the setup is longer than the actual poem. And that's fine, because, people on this evening, anybody who goes there is going to know how it is that I came to write this. And of course, there will be books available for people to get should they want them, which I will be happy to leave my squiggle on if they want to. But yeah, I mean, it will to a certain extent, it will be the unbearable sheerness of being explained as well as performed. As people will get the idea of what I was doing and where I was when I actually wrote it.
So, would you be happy to read us a little short piece?
Certainly, I could do that for you. All of the titles in this book are actually the unbearable sheerness of something. And this one is the unbearable sheerness of being in the RSPCA shop. And it goes a bit like this. It's not very long. There's a sadness amidst the Nancy Drews that will gently lay its hand upon you. Who lingers long between the shelves that evidence the countless selves? Who gave up all these mildewed ghosts for the cats and the dogs of the Sheppey coast? Worn inscriptions on the inside cover of Silas Marner from a college lover. Kisses crossed and doubtless given gentle to a person dead or not that sentimental. Forgot in brown oppressive furniture. I wonder what became of her. And there you have it.
So, just to refresh our listeners, if you could just let them know when and where the talk is, and of course where they can find out more about the book if they are interested.
Brilliant. Yes, I can. On November the 3rd, that's a Friday, I will be hitting the stage at 7:30, so they tell me, but the doors will be open a fair bit before that at Sheppey Little Theatre on Merrick Road in Sheerness. And I will be performing, basically all of the book, because we can do it all in the space of time that we have. There will be support from a good friend of mine by the name of FM Jenkins. She's one of the best poets in Kent, and she's going to do a 15-minute spot just to let me get a breather, and also because she's good and the people will want to hear her. As I say, the tickets for this are £5 to get in. They are available from Sheppey Glass in Fairest Sheerness. And regarding the book, that can be obtained if you need to get it and you can't get to the gig. You can get it from wordsmithery.info on the great steaming interweb. And Wordsmithery will be happy to take your card payment and send it winging to you wherever you may be.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time out to talk to us here at BRFM Bridge Radio on the Daniel Monday Night Community Show.
That's all right, Daniel. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.